James Bond returns again for the 25th time. Is this movie any good? Let me tell you what I think coming up after this. British actor Daniel Craig returns for the 5th time as James Bond in the 2021 movie No Time to Die. He's been Bond for 15 years, and as we know through the marketing advertising, this is the final performance of Craig's career as James Bond. Now, I'm not a Bond aficionado, although I've probably seen every single Bond movie. I just simply don't remember much about them, including the last few Bonds, and I think this movie assumes you know a little bit, certainly about Spectre, about Blofeld. It's harkening back to previous Bonds, in fact the entire Bond franchise, because after all this is the 25th movie. This is summing up Craig's career as James Bond, and so this movie will remind fans of the whole franchise of a number of aspects of James Bond going all the way back to Dr. No. It's not just talking about recent movies, but all the franchise. And nevertheless, I felt like I should have known a few more things than I did going into this movie about what's happened in the last 3 or 4 Bond movies. The movie has Bond, who's been retired now for a little while, and he's in Jamaica, I think, hanging out and retired. It's a classic and even cliched formula of the one last job, the British intelligence agency, in fact, the CIA. Everybody's calling James back into action, even though he's retired and, I guess, living a posh life in Jamaica. In fact, I was stunned by the seeming coincidence, because this movie was made before the coronavirus pandemic. Nevertheless, there are some heavy pandemic-esque issues going on in this. One is that James Bond has to save the world, basically, from a DNA bioweapon that can attack whole populations and can wipe out people. People can use it to commit genocide or erase families or harm people. And you'll see that in the movie. The DNA bioweapon aspect, including nanotechnology, is a key aspect of the movie. And it harkens back to classic Bond stories in which a supervillain wants to take over or blow up the entire world. That's exactly what you're going to get in this movie, including in the final act of Fortress Invasion by Bond. Now, I won't say any more about that, but he goes to a secret island. He's going to try to stop the supervillain from basically taking over the world or trying to kill everybody. And that's something you would have seen, in the Roger Moore James Bond movies. Now, how does one judge a James Bond movie? They're all decent to pretty good. It depends on what you want to see in them. I was entertained pretty much by this. I didn't think the film grammar, some of the action scenes were all that good. In fact, they weren't showstoppers to me. None of them were. Maybe the final sequence was decent, but in the past, I've liked the last couple of James Bond movies a lot. Skyfall and Spectre, directed by Sam Mendes. This one is not as well done overall. And I would have actually liked to, this is just me, I would have liked to see more on the DNA bioweapon. They sort of just use it but pass over it. It's a really interesting technology that they could have done more with in this movie. But the movie ends up focusing more on Bond's personal life. I won't say anything about that except that, you're getting a James Bond who's not a type. He's not a British secret agent anymore. He's a lover and a potential, relational person, which is of interest to some people, but it's going to turn off a whole lot of other people. I did like the classic Bond stuff in this, and the overall plot goals. The supervillain was okay. I just like the technology and the fact that Bond has to save the world once again, and trying in the 21st century to figure out how the scenario by which Bond saves the world, and it has something to do, tiny bit, with secret laboratories creating diseases, bioweapons, DNA bioweapons, and it's totally relevant, as we know, unfortunately, to the coronavirus pandemic. I'm staring at the list of 25 Bond movies, looking at them. I think this one for me probably would be in the top 10 just because of what happens in it. I'm not going to spoil it, but if you've seen a lot of the Bond movies, you're definitely going to want to see this one just for the heck of it, for reasons I cannot disclose. Don't expect it to be great. Don't expect to be wowed by the action scenes and special effects, but do expect to be reasonably entertained. This is a good sort of date movie. It's good for airplanes. If you're bored at an airport, would be good for that. I wouldn't go watch it with my brain on, trying to think it's great literature or great complex art, but it's okay. So for that reason, I'm going to give it 3 stars, maybe 3.5 stars. I might rewatch it in the future. Probably that I will go back to Skyfall and Spectre, because I remember liking those a lot, but I don't remember why. So anyway, James Bond, and I think Mission Impossible still is better as a franchise at this point. The last 3 Mission Impossible movies have been really, really fun and really well done, at least in terms of action sequences. This James Bond movie sort of pales in contrast to it, but nevertheless, it's not bad. What do you think of No Time to Die? Let us know in the comments, and please subscribe to this channel for more great content. Thank you and have a great day.